Thank you. This is the Litchfield Budget Committee. We are starting about 12 minutes late as we get used to our new surroundings and make sure all the cameras are working. So I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:12. And if we could begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we have some visitors tonight in the audience, some scouts who are coming to observe local government in action. Welcome. Welcome. So actually, at this point of our meeting, we have something called public input. So if a member of the community has something they want to tell the budget committee or comment on, this is an opportunity for the community to have some say in what's going on, if you'd like. Is there anybody who wants to say anything? Okay, that's fine. The next items are our minutes. We have two sets of minutes. We have one from the school deliberative session back in February. And the only people who are still here are, and Jen, but we don't need Jen to approve those. So if you've read them and.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 10th.
Okay, I'll second that. And if there's no further discussion, they look good to me.
Me
All
too.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there's any opposed, and then abstain,
Abstain.
which would be there's 5 abstentions. So it's 2, 0, 5. The April 12th minutes.
It's 4, Cindy.
What was that?
2, 4. 6 of
1,
us.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Did you count, Michelle, in your count?
I don't think so.
What did you say? 2
She
to 5.
counts.
Yeah, I did.
It's okay.
2, 3. No, you're right. 4.
She counts,
Thank
but she
you.
can't vote.
Yeah, I know.
It should be 9. All right, we're missing 3. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 12th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving April 12th minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Aye. That would be 5, 0, 1. Correspondence. I believe we didn't have anything outside of the usual information from the school district and town. So we'll skip over that. New business, our budget calendar. I sent it to everybody, but what I did is just put a list of our dates and what the specific topic was. If it was a presentation from the town budget, if it was a school budget voting, whatever it was, I sent it all out to everybody. And this is what we had discussed at our last meeting. So this was just for informational purposes and so that people had a copy. One of the topics from our last meeting was that being here in the town hall, one of the options that is available and that the town has been experimenting with is live streaming the meetings at the same time that they're being broadcast. They are recorded and they are put on YouTube anyways, but this would be another opportunity for people to watch live while the meeting is happening. So we did have a discussion about what that means for the budget committee, what that means for RSA 91A, which is the right to know. How much information do we have to keep? How much information do we have to make available? And so what I did was start with the RSA, the law itself, and took a look at that and did up a draft. But one thing that I wasn't really clear on is what constitutes an official record for the budget committee. Unfortunately, last week or 2 weeks ago now, I think it might have been, I went to the training, the state training, and was able to ask that question of the two lawyers. explain that our local cable committee is recording the meetings. There would be a live broadcast, and did these meetings then have to be, are they part of our public record? And they said no, because they're not ours. Our public record, our official record, are our minutes, and those are always going to be our official record. So there's nothing we have to worry about in terms of tracking what happens. And so I'll just basically, by looking at the RSA, and it's nothing that we are doing, but just trying to outline how we're going to treat this happening and how it's going to impact the budget committee. I have drafted up a section H, which is the electronic recording of meetings. And then I put the part of the RSA that states any person shall be permitted to use recording devices, including but not limited to tape recorders, cameras, and videotape equipment at such meeting. That's one line out of the RSA. So anybody, including our local cable committee, is able to do this without our permission, without our agreeing to it. So it's that piece of it is out of our hands, basically. So then what would become then part of our bylaws, the budget committee does not record its meetings. Other individuals or organizations, such as the Town of Litchfield Cable Committee, may record, broadcast, or live stream official budget committee meetings at public access stations, YouTube, Facebook, and other social media. The budget committee is not responsible for the dissemination, broadcast, or retention of this media. The official record of the budget committee is the minutes. Any questions, comments, or information that arises from media broadcasts may be taken up at subsequent official meetings at the discretion of the budget committee. So basically that just says it's not something we're doing. It's not something we have control over to keep or not keep. And that when questions arise, as they may in any other time of the between one meeting and a month going by and another meeting, they can certainly be taken up at a meeting. So I sent that out ahead so that people could kind of get an idea of what the wording was, what the background was, and if there was any questions, concerns, wordsmithing that you wanted to do.
One thing I'd bring up, I brought up at the school board meeting. I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and 2 districts in New Hampshire now have received letters from the OCR, Office of Civil Rights, that if the town posts past meetings to be in compliance with ADA, they now have to have closed captioning. So districts are starting to pull archived videos.
That explains the question I received from Brian. I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
But,
I guess 2 districts, because nobody has it, I guess it's starting as a slow rollout, but districts, I guess it's like huge money to go back and
Don't they have software on your
There
computer?
It is,
is
but
software, but the challenges with some of our audio recordings.
No, I'm saying though, can't somebody have an app installed in their?
yeah, but it's an ADA compliance rule, I guess. But districts are starting to pull, because it's something the way it was explained to me is if you pull it before they get to you, you're safe. But if you get the letter, then pull it, it's not acceptable. You have to go back and so I don't know how far along they are. I don't know if it's widespread, but there are 2 districts in New Hampshire that have been.
That also would mean that we have to pull all videos. Right.
That's what I had asked. I don't know
Once
who.
that goes against the whole transparency of government, right? The fact that stuff's not there.
So
Yeah, somebody's looking into it for us, so we'll let you know as it gets along.
So again, that is not something the budget committee,
No.
the school
The
board
school-
would,
yeah.
but the budget committee is a
It'd be the town,
neutral
not us.
participant in
Take it out of
this.
our budget.
It would be the cable committee or the town's responsibility to address that if an issue came up. We're just, passive group that's being broadcast. So I don't think for
Yeah, I think
us
we'll be fine.
anyways,
Just
that,
as an FYI if the town.
yeah,
has it.
that is very interesting,
Explains why some of the shows I stream have
very interesting.
closed captioned.
Any other
So I think we do have closed captioning, so.
concerns, comments? I know, John, you've been dealing with this at the selectmen's level and with the school board, and so is there anything you see that you might want to
No, I think that the bylaws that you're adopting are perfectly in line with what zoning board has done in the same case.
Mhm.
The zoning board had a similar objection because their stuff becomes more legal.
Mhm.
And even though the only real record of the meeting is the minutes of that meeting, the recording could become evidence against the meeting minutes,
Mhm.
which just makes that organization be more cognizant of the fact they are being recorded and things of that. But as we've always said to anybody, you can go watch YouTube and get the tone of the meeting and all that stuff and understand who the directions are, but the real state law is the meeting minutes are the minutes.
Mhm.
That's the only thing we're legally required to have to give you.
Yep.
But YouTube you can download YouTube anytime. We don't delete anything since we started this program about 4 years now. Everything is there. The intent was that would be our long-term archive.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't have any objections with it. I mean, it lines up with what we've been told to do too. So.
Yeah, and in terms of it becoming, used if needed in a legal meeting, I mean, the way I started when I first got involved in, community government was I was a citizen who sat in the audience with a video camera and recorded the school board meetings so that people could see what went on. And it was at that point, there wasn't even cable access in Litchfield. I would deliver the tapes to Hudson and Hudson would run them, but I did that as a private citizen. So certainly those tapes, in that circumstance could become, if somebody wanted them. So it doesn't.
Yeah. I think your point is anybody can come in and record our meeting.
Anybody.
It's a public meeting, unless it's a closed, non-public meeting, the way it can be. As with regards to the closed caption, so when we go live, we can't close caption, but after it's been published, it is in closed caption. So if you go to any YouTube meeting today, you can turn on closed caption, and you can actually get its interpretation of what it's hearing. So we do have that service. So the school board should be rest easy that their meetings are closed captioned.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how far, but I'll go back to those. Want to make sure it's there, but it's been part of the YouTube stuff for at least the last year anyway.
Yeah, and the only comment the lawyers made at the workshop was that certainly if it's available, and it's available, and someone asks for it, just give it to them. Yeah. All right. So if this is acceptable, this will become. So today's is a draft, and what we have to do is it cannot become official until the next meeting. And let me just double check. I think we should vote on it now and then vote on it again at our next meeting. Must be moved at one meeting and shall not be voted on until the next meeting. So basically a motion that these will be approved at the next meeting, and then we'll vote officially at the next meeting.
So make a motion to approve at the next meeting. So we're doing. So made.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? So at our next meeting, we will officially vote on these to become part of our bylaws, and then I will give the town a new copy to publish on the town website.
Okay.
So that's live streaming. That's the bylaws, which brings us to town. So, John, if you want to take it from here.
Just found my document here. Okay. So, So let's see, for a general status update, just some observations for the budget. Fuel cost is now becoming a concern. Right now, we estimated $2.25 a gallon. It's right now around $2.26, but there's an expectation based on what we're hearing that it's going to go up. It's just more informational. We don't think that's going to be an overall concern because at some point in time it'll come back down again, hopefully. With regards to the fire station, the big project that cleared all the trees up by Town Hall, people were asking about, we did get final bond approval. The check, I believe, is actually on its way.
How'd the rate come in?
The rate came in, so we originally estimated 325. It came in at 334, so not too bad. We have our terrain permit. We've done obviously the tree clearing is underway. The stump grinding, and other clearing is going to happen over the next week or so. The expectation is that we're going to start doing the site and foundation work end of June, beginning of July. So, and then there is a note that apparently there is a construction labor shortage, which
I believe it.
is always a challenge anyway. So there is an expectation that there may be some issues around getting the building weather tight for the winter. So they'll work on that.
Yeah, everybody builds when the weather's nice, so.
Of course. All we can ask for is a long, nice, dry fall.
Oh, yeah. Once all the summer work's done, start calling people in.
From a police department perspective, the new officer that we approved has been on board, has started her in-house training as of May 7th. And as you probably recall, she's already full-time certified, so she has to go through this department-style FTO training. We expect to have her in, I think, full duty by, I think it's September.
That's ahead of schedule because she's already trained, right?
Yeah,
That's
she just has to do all internal training.
Yep.
So she's actually on tonight. The other thing is the police collective bargaining will start soon for new contract years.
So did her coming on board have any impact on the budget? Because it,
No, because we have a few people, we're down some.
okay.
I mean, I think the challenge, I should probably restate that. I don't believe there's an impact long-term. There may be a short-term impact because we're doubled up at this point where we're going
Yeah.
for training. Once she's able to be on her own, we have overtime hours that will get backfilled by her because we have,
But we would have factored
One
that in
officer.
anyway, right? We would have already
Yeah,
expected.
no,
Yeah.
what I meant, if she's on board now, because wasn't the,
originally it's July 1st.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and we I think the estimate was a few $1,000s of that assumption to have to absorb. But once she's able to work on her own, then we'll save overtime. So right now we have officers doing double shifts because we're down one officer and we have another officer still in training. So we're not at a full complement right now. We're just going through all the training and the outage. So that's a good thing. Highway Department, all the 2018 road paving projects are completed. We expect them to come in about 10 to 20 grand under budget based on what originally estimated. We don't have all the invoices yet, but they're coming. The MRI DPW feasible study is starting May 22nd. I think you heard that we decided to take a look at both the DPW department in general, basically, which includes the recycling center and our highway, understand what it should look like for a town that operates like we do and what's the manpower and all that to kind of get some data behind how it should mature over the years.
And so that's the same company that did the study for the police.
Yeah, MRI is, they do a lot of municipal studies and they have a lot of experience doing all this. So we're using them again.
When did you say that would be completed? I'm sorry.
They're starting May 22nd. It'll take about 3 months to finalize.
Thank you.
Just in time for budget season.
That was the intent. From a tax collector and tax clerk perspective, the first tax bills went out on July 2nd or are heading out and due July 2nd. You may have already received them.
Yeah, I
obviously.
did.
Showed up.
That was fun.
I always love opening that thing up. The 2018 tax base is not finalized until the second bill goes out. So, but the first bill was reflected about a $15 million $15 million increase in the tax base. That's what the first bill, the first set of bills were. So
15 million?
that's what it says. I had it corrected. I thought it was a dot. No, it's a comma.
Huh.
I didn't think it would be that high.
That's, I think, more than Troy projected. That's
Is it based on assessment? Or
Yeah, I
something?
think so. Yeah,
Huh.
I think that's how they come up with that.
Excuse me. Being new to this, I shouldn't you said about the $15 million.
$15 million valuation of the town. Yeah.
Our town's value went up 15 million, or we're charging our people $15 million.
No, it's the value went up 15 million is what it says. It says increased by $15 million in new tax base. I'll have to ask them to clarify it because I'm reading it going, I'm not sure about that, but
Well, that should generally be revenue neutral anyway, right? Doesn't it just reduce the tax rate?
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah, when the assessments go up, tax goes down. It's always,
The dollar amount's the same, it's just how the rate looks.
Right.
Could
Just
that,
get taxed less on more.
the new condos, the new houses going up? Is that a big part of that?
That's a possibility. All the new houses over on town.
Paid.
Well, that's it. So he
They're
did
not.
explain it. So the
The
Pennachuck
condos would fall under
the
this.
Pennachuck taxes abatement that we just received And the Page Road housing is actually represents about $10 million of that valuation adjustment.
So more value to the town, which,
So you say more value, but do you mean more revenue coming into the town?
No, it's the town's more valuable.
Valuation.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
it's a weird math problem.
So, your house is worth X amount and you pay taxes on X amount. As the, the value of your house increases, if they collect the same amount, it actually goes down because it's always going to be the same. I'm not
When you
explaining
collect
it
$100 on like $100, it's one. But when you collect $100 on $200, it lowers the rate. So your rate goes down. It's revenue neutral. So when you take the rate times the value, when the value goes up, the rate goes down because the final number has to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, our tax impact doesn't change very often.
Yeah.
So
more people share it, I
right,
guess.
it's more peanut buttered across the board.
Well, in this case, yeah, there's more houses that's helpful. But when it's the same number of houses, it's the same amount.
Somebody else goes up, somebody else goes down. Yeah.
From the finance office and assessing, the 2017 financial audit's almost done, about 75%. They will have the final report, I guess, September 1st is what we were told. Other than that, that's everything from a general update for the town.
All right. And we get weekly budget updates. Does anybody have any questions or?
I guess my question would be, am I just supposed to look through it?
I guess my only thing is so we talked a little bit about Penchuck. Where are we on the PFOA thing, the town settlement? Is that done?
So the states has done his thing. The town's not done, no.
God's sake.
No. I'm hoping we'll have a better update at our next meeting as far as what the next steps are, and we'll make sure to bring it back at that point. I heard that the state has come up with a plan to do the shutdown of all the wells. Don't know what that means yet. And
Shut down all the wells? Like,
basically close the wells that people don't want to use anymore.
what if they want to use them?
From the meeting I went to, it sounds like the state's really pushing not to use them, but I think they're not going to be, they'll do it if the residents want. But as far as our legal case, there's been some back and forth. We've pushed, obviously, our agenda, and we have no responses back yet. So, unfortunately, that status hasn't changed very much yet.
Does that go as well for people who just want to use a well for watering? They shutting those down too, or?
I believe you're given the option to keep it, but it has to be non-portable, so it has to be disconnected from the house, basically. I know the state would rather see the wells just turned off altogether.
It makes sense because, houses change hands and 10, 15, 20 years down the line, is somebody going to start drinking it because they don't understand the history of what happened? And
I think everything in those areas are marked as a water protection zone or some I forget the term, but it's well part of the deed that it's impacted.
okay, so it'll be part of people's.
I would assume it's either going to be part of the deed or part of the official record of the area. But yeah.
Well, that would make sense because, like you said, 20 years from now, somebody's going to take the sign off their house or paint over a colored marker or something.
Yeah.
But if it's in the paperwork officially, then.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll bring it back to Troy and see what they're doing from how are they actually recording it on the deed, or so people know the water is impacted.
Yeah.
But
All right. Any other questions for the town? All right. Moving on to the school district.
Okay.
We've received a lot of updates over the last month. We received a financial update. Actually, I think 2 financial updates. One just yesterday, Tuesday. There's a security update. There is with the new superintendent coming on board, we had asked what the difference was in the salary. So we got that update.
I'm sure I have that.
And we have enrollment update.
So, I'll start with the 2 questions from last month. The first one is about the secured vestibule at GMS. We did get the grant. Projected total cost about $87,790. We get a grant for 80% of that, which is $70,232 from the state. The town's going to come up with $17,558, which come out of the strategic strategic money for the building. Did you guys get the drawings from Corey?
Yes, yeah.
I went down and looked at it and talked to the principal. It's pretty straightforward. All where the main entrance is at
So
GMS?
with that little
The
wall.
windows to the left of the main entrance are going to be the vestibule. The doors that are now the main entrance are going to remain. Those are going to be, I think he said magnetic control locks. Those are only going to be for student access to recess when they're coming from the lunchroom. I believe that's where they're going to go to recess. So it'll be, I stood there with them. You can see right into the office where the new.
So my question there would be, how do you prevent somebody from going through those doors during recess hours? Because
They're
you
gonna
end
have
up with,
magnetic. They're gonna have it. It would be no different than any other school. It's gonna have magnetic locks. Or
right, but as the kids and teachers come out, what's to keep somebody? I mean, because then you have the same problem you have now.
any door. What would keep somebody from coming out there?
Well, if the vestibule, the doors are locked on the inside and only access through that, I just wonder why we just don't.
If you have 100 kids coming out, there's going to be kids on both doors. You can't get kids out of 2 doors in the vestibule without all the doors being open anyway. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I see us spending this money and we're still in the same situation we're in. So I don't want.
If you go look at it, it makes perfect sense because
I looked at it where they're going to do it, but I still, unless those doors are actually secured, you're still going to have the same situation we're trying to address.
you would, but it's at least then you're going to have the adults with the kids. It's going to be under control. I don't see how you could do it with 100 kids going out to recess where both doors wouldn't be open unless you had a 30-yard long vestibule.
I think you're right. If the plan would be to have a teacher monitor as the kids exit, that's different than, but
And I would
kids come in and out. So my concern is you're still.
it's going to be, as far as I understand,
Out only?
any school, those doors are going to be out only. You're going to use I don't have it on, the card access for the teachers. The kids aren't going to be able to go in and out from recess. They're going to go out.
Right.
When it's time to go back in, I would assume they line up at that age. The teachers will have to use their access badges to get back in. So the doors are not going to be unlocked, by my understanding.
No, I understand. I just see a kid going in use the restroom, coming back out the door, and somebody going in.
Yeah, he won't
at
be
the
able to
same
get
time.
in. It's going to be card access,
To go in,
To
but not
go
to
in.
come out.
but not to come out. No.
Right. So a kid going to the restroom, coming back out.
Yeah, it's
Just to me, I think it's a great idea. I just don't see it solving the problem. Is my concern.
it's one of those things. There's nothing you can do to solve the example you're giving. I mean,
Right.
if somebody wants to get in when a first, second, third grader is coming out of school, it doesn't matter what you have for safety features, he's going to be able to get in. But what it's going to do is it's going to make the school safer. It's going to be in line
Right.
with the main office. People will always be able to see who's there. You're not going to be able to, worst case scenario, they see somebody hiding with a little tiny camera, somebody hiding next to them, whatever. To me, it makes sense as far as working in a school, seeing school safety. It makes sense that you're locking down the front doors.
I guess my argument is we're not. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we could argue.
I think it's going to bring a sense of security to some people. To me, I would just get rid of the doors and then have one point of access, because then I understand what you're saying, trying to move a large group of people, but
To me, it would be, just from being in a school all the time, it'd be to me, that'd be more of a safety hazard because both doors would then be open all the time.
not if the
Because if you're egressing with 100 kids out two doors through a vestibule, now all those doors are open the whole time. And then
I would just, like I said, just encourage you to consider staffing those during recess, because I don't see it
That's
addressing.
probably something that
Yep,
the
I hope so.
volunteers can do
Yeah.
because.
Because as I say, I appreciate we're spending money to improve it, but I don't want it to be a false sense of we did something, but we still have the same situation. We just spent $80,000 to alleviate. So that's all.
It's hard with an old building to.
No, I hear you. That's why me personally, I'd lock down the doors. But that would be
did what?
I said those doors that currently go in, I would have, you have other methods of escaping the building in the event of a fire or other situation. When you have the ability for kids to exit the building, that means that while those doors are open, people can still enter. So if you had the locked vestibule door and you can only enter once you've been buzzed in, then you have one point of contact, one point of entry. It's more secure than having once that a well-meaning little 6-year-old, as they go out the door,
Being polite.
being polite, because that's what we teach them, let somebody in the building. And so you still have the same situation we have now. And we spent $80,000 and the building's still not secure. That's my concern.
So that's going through. I'll bring that up to Corey when I see him. The other one was the budget for the new superintendent. when I looked at it, it's juggling between fiscal year 17, 18, 18, 19. So it looks like we're going to be under budget as of now. We won't have the benefits package. I don't believe we're going to have the benefits package until after the 1st of July because we're going from a 2-person plan, I believe, to a family plan. So we're expecting that to go up a little bit, but we're going to be in line with budget for the salary for the year. Budgeted 135 with a salary of 132. So that'll start July 1st. Questions on that? And then the big one that we got yesterday was the district is expecting a balance of about $580,000 at the end of the fiscal year. That's an estimate. It could go up, could go down. Based on past practices, $200,000 of that will be returned to the taxpayers. I believe when we looked at it, about 50,000 of it will transfer to the Capital Reserve Fund. Full day kindergarten, we'll get about 102,000 of that, I believe, for a total of 152,000. And then the balance will be used for, I guess it was talked about last year, the Learning Commons at GMS, LMS, and CHS for additional furniture, getting rid of some old furniture to make it more conducive to 21st century learning.
So what was factored into the warrant article for how much we were going to pay down for the? Did we factor in 102,000 towards the portables when we did the warrant article, or was that a higher number?
I don't know.
Because if we reduce that number, that's going to affect the overall cost of that warrant article, or actually it would affect the cost of your commons because the money wouldn't go there.
See if I have anything from. That I do.
If I believe in the commons, I probably have it too. But. I just feel like we had a higher number towards the portables.
Well, don't forget that we got 235,000 in impact fees.
Yeah.
So the full amount was $774,242. It will be,
Right.
yeah, and it's anticipated this appropriation will be offset by $430,650 to come from state and local revenue.
So if it's 238, that's more than 102 gets you to 400 and something. It's closer to 170.
Yeah, how about we get some details on
Details
that?
on that one?
Yep. Yep.
I would just hate to have us put less towards the portables and have people a little upset that full day kindergarten costs more to implement than we promised.
So the Commons initiative will be, I think, a total of 43,000 of that. GMS furniture, getting rid of some old furniture, I guess that's where last year is 10,000. The CHS entryway is possible reconfiguration based on, I think a lot of this is based on building security from Homeland Security walkthrough. And card readers at LMS, they're looking at, I believe it's 3 fire exits or 2 fire exits that don't have the ability for teachers to re-enter the building with their cards if there is an evacuation. So that will come out of that also. And then one we just found out about, and this is an initial estimate, is the dust collection system in the wood shop at CHS is not only out of, I believe OSHA, I think they said OSHA, right?
For years.
I believe it's out of OSHA standards, not only for the dust collection, but also for the decibel levels. So they're in the process of getting another estimate right now. One estimate came in without the decibel level, so they have to go back to that person and get that. So that was a pretty big one at 72,000.
Wow.
And
Move it outside.
what's that? Sorry.
I'm just being sarcastic and saying we just build a shed outside. For 72 grand, we can build a nice shed.
I know. And then I think that was it, right?
So, I mean, my guess is usually as we get closer to the end of the year and purchase orders get closed out and
Yep.
that 580,000 will actually increase as if money frees up when we close out the end of the year. So
Well, it could always return more than 200,000.
that's exactly where it will go. All right. We also got enrollment.
Yep.
Which is basically as of the end of April.
Didn't change too much.
No, we're actually from beginning of year to now, they've been very stable numbers. There hasn't been a lot of ins and outs.
I think they said the numbers were lower than expected from the condos. The condos, they expected a higher number, and it was.
Yeah.
I'd say I was surprised, but I'm pretty sure I was on that train
Were you?
months ago.
Well, let the summer go by first. I only
Yeah.
have, I'm doing bus routes and. there's
I'm
only one
pretty sure
elementary child coming from that, the condos right now. So,
I wish I could say I was surprised.
I know living on Nessum Keg, the new houses that went in, I don't know the name of the road, out back there. There's a few kids, but there's not too many kids out there. So
What I find intriguing is how you have the drop in the groups from fifth and sixth, then you have the 4 years, but then first grade has another significant. That cohort is also significantly smaller, so it's
Yeah, right
going to
now.
start making an impact as we've already considered. Now we're going to
I speaking for myself, I think it'll be tough decisions in the years ahead if it
Yeah.
doesn't trend up.
But I think we need to get it on the radar because we always hear, well, we need to think about that in the future, and then the future comes, and it's like, well, we haven't thought about that. So we do need to start game planning.
It has been, I know it's been thought,
Yeah,
and I think some of the discussions are being held up a little bit till July 1st.
that's understandable because I know
Switch going on.
I personally know of another first grader who registered after this. So there will be some that come in, but it is, I mean, you have to get a lot of new registrations to bring it up to the second grade levels.
So this may be a question you don't have the answer to, but I know that every year for 20 years, we've had enrollment projections done with October 1st numbers.
Yep.
The person who usually does them for us actually retired, and only this past year did it as a favor. Do we know how we're going to do enrollment projections in the fall?
Well,
we're learning.
oh, you do? I was gonna, as far as I know, I thought there had to be a 10. I'm speaking personally, this is not, I thought we had to have a 10-year projection on a state model. I thought we had to upkeep one all the time, but I can double check on that.
The New Hampshire School Boards Association used to offer that service, and I believe when their guru retired, they no longer offer that service.
I can tell you, I finished my master's in education leadership last year, and one of my classes was doing, and I have one that I did for Litchfield on the state school board model, but it's not official. It's,
Yeah.
I did it for
I hear a
class.
volunteer.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No, I mean, it's not rocket science. I have
It's
the
just
formula.
tedious.
Yeah, it is
It's
tedious.
entering numbers.
But it is very helpful because we do base a lot of our decisions on it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, there should. I thought we were
We may
supposed to
be
have a
doing them
10-year.
internally, or if the board so chooses, we can always contract with NESDEC.
well, you have time, but it doesn't come up for a little while.
And the reason we
Always
actually
the
had
point.
them done by an outside neutral party is they used to be done at the superintendent's office back when Hudson and Litchfield were combined. And there was some concern that as Litchfield's population was increasing, that they weren't taking that into account, trying to make the numbers look better,
Mhm.
which is why, there's
I can't imagine anybody in this town accusing anybody of having ulterior motives.
this was in Hudson.
I can,
So
I can tell you based on the formula, I think it's shocking the numbers we heard the other day, how few, because I think the formula expects new
Right.
homes to bring many more kids than what they're bringing.
You don't know, so they go.
So the actual formula we've used it's called 3-year weighted average. So you take the most recent 3 years, you weight the most recent stuff 3, the next year by 2, and the last year by 1, because the further away you get from those, the weaker it is. So it takes a while for a trend, because you are weighting the current stuff, but it's not an immediate, because you're still getting the impact of the previous 2 years. So I would think it would be behind.
So what is what's our number for this year?
For which?
I'm just looking at the one I did last year. The state projection, I did this 2 years ago. And using the state formula, we were supposed to have 77 first graders this year.
This year we have 66.
Yeah. And
So far.
I have 18, 19, 62.
This
using the
is
state projection.
No, I agree with you. I think
Currently
when we did it, the superintendent
Yeah,
was
me
saying those condos are opening in September. We're going to see a lot of new kids.
But
So it wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised if it did factor into that. Now, the story will change once the single family homes open up, because
Yeah.
those are more likely to bring in kids, but the
If you wanna look at
condos.
that's not that's just the one I did for the class. That was based on the
Oh,
state
okay.
formula.
17, 18.
So
But even still, even at
Yeah,
77, you're talking almost, what, 2/3 of what the graduating class, almost half of what the
Sure.
graduation class
not
is
official by
today.
any means, but
Yeah.
so I'll ask I'll
Yeah.
ask Mike when he's on board.
But again, even just thinking long term, 77, even if that's high, we have 131 12th graders. So that's a lot of things that there's decisions that are going to have to be made in the future that we need to get put on the radar.
Well, just looking at the current first grade
Mhm.
is 66 students. The current second grade is 87
Yeah.
students. When the first grade bumps up to second grade, that's a whole teacher.
Okay, these are our projections from
So
NHSBA.
we are projected,
This would be preschool, kindergarten, first grade.
so we're projected next year to have 62 first graders. We've already got 66 enrolled, so we are, I guess, a little ahead of
Mhm.
projections.
The last 2 big classes in middle school will be moving out over
Yeah.
the next couple of years, and then we'll be into the
the
lower
lower
amounts. And the school board, the superintendent has talked to the school board many times about tough choices.
Well, what I think will be interesting to see is how many kindergartners are enrolled. Full day kindergarten is supposed to bring us a lot of kids, and if we end up with the same number,
Well, I just want, it's very difficult when it comes to reducing teachers. It's always a long, hard debate. So that's why I just want to call attention to
Mhm.
where we are right now. It looks as though we're going to be losing a second grade teacher, and probably more at the middle school too. So just to be aware.
Yep.
All right. Anything else for school business?
So I think a couple things next month that are in the works now. But
the teachers' contracts are up this year also, right?
yep, that'll start, I believe, in late July.
It's both contracts, right? Because it's the service.
I think
it's
both are up this year.
Open negotiations.
I know there's been
Usually,
there's been talk about trying to fix that, so
Offset
maybe offsetting. but
Yeah, they
I
are gonna talk about that.
don't know where we'll get, but I know
Do we get a bulk discount on the lawyer?
Well, we can't really discuss
Yeah.
negotiations at this level, so.
so it's I know they're supposed to start. I think they said late July.
Well, they're gonna be starting discussions.
starting discussions in late July. So
so hopefully they're done by the time we go to hearing, because the last time they weren't.
they weren't.
All right, anything else for, any questions, comments, the school? All right, moving on then, member input, does anybody have anything any comments, questions, issues? Our next meeting is,
I just want to know how I get all this information.
so it gets, over the course of the next month, it all gets emailed. So anytime I get an update from the school, I forward it on to the budget committee members. Anytime when I create an agenda, I send it all to the budget committee members. So you should have, before the next meeting, you should have all of the information that's sent to you over the course of a month. So as soon as the minutes are done, I'll forward the minutes out. So everything over the next month, you'll have everything for the next meeting.
We'll just convert on.
Does it go to my
Gmail.
It goes your
Like
town,
Gmail?
your town email. Have you logged into it yet?
I don't know. I didn't know I had a tiny.
B
email.
Hutch.
No,
You should have just got an email from when we started this meeting.
Yeah, I was able to
Before you
create
leave,
a
we'll log
password
in.
for something, but
Yeah,
So-
we'll log in.
I just wonder,
What I'll do for this month, I assumed you were on your email because for a while I was sending it to your home email. And
the email I got from you was the one where I told you I had a funeral.
yep,
That's basically the one I got.
yeah, and that at that meeting I checked with John to had everybody, you know,
It's all in his email now, so you don't have to send him anything else.
Okay.
Before we leave tonight, we'll log him in so he's in, and then he'll see all the past emails, and then he'll see anything going forward.
we're just,
Yeah.
it should be a lot easier when we migrate to Google because you'll be able to really set it up how you want.
and it's really important that you have a separate town account for town business because and this was kind of very interesting. I've heard it before, but it's very interesting to hear again that when you're a public official, if there's a demand for, you know, all your emails, if you have a town account, it's very easy and very clean cut. If you've been getting some town business stuff on your personal email, now your personal email, you know, if lawyers are involved, whatever the case may be.
My attitude is have at it. Enjoy.
So it's just a good, clean, you know, that's why we give everybody a town address so that all of the town business goes right to that town address.
Cindy, I think
And that's how we communicate.
the two things you sent me when I tried to open would only open with Google. So I had to open them with my school account.
Okay.
Just so you know, for some reason they would only, I don't even remember what they were, but
Okay.
two things this week would only open in Google.
So I know sometimes I thought I updated all my stuff. I had some old, I can't remember whether it was Word or whether it was
Yeah, you're
Excel.
Word 2010, I think, is through
So-
the platform, right? The cloud computing
You have
thing.
to make sure it's a .x or an XLS.
Yeah. Because last year the school district had like a filter on, and so some of the old Excel wouldn't go through. So I'll make sure that I'll double check
I'll
and make
double-
sure I haven't gotten an old.
It was-
Because
yeah, it was
sometimes
just-
I'll take an old document and just update it. It's all.
My suggestion is that if you have an actual physical Word doc or a spreadsheet, when you post it up in Google Drive, convert it to a Google Doc. That way you won't have any instance problems. Matter of fact, I know I talked to Troy before about Michelle's minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know why she does it in Word. It's much easier. It's
They automatically convert.
no, they got posted up as docs still. They're still in doc format, but
They are, because on my side,
It's
they
just
automatically
PDF.
convert.
It converts,
Cool,
but
then.
it posts as a document.
Oh, all right.
I
I'll
don't
keep
want
that
the
in mind.
details.
I'm
She
sorry.
can.
That's my fault.
yeah, I mean, the more you can get to native Google Docs, the easier it is for everybody who's behaving.
Oh, that's why I just didn't realize it was still posting as a doc.
Yeah, the last one, I think the last one I got was still a doc. It was still
Yeah,
Okay,
it's-
I'll make sure I convert. I
It
thought it was
says doc-
automatically converting because that's what our Google Drive does.
you
Automatically.
have to select that to do that. And it's
Yeah,
probably on
it's-
your account.
It's dot
So
docs.
noted.
X, whatever docx is.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So you should get everything should come to you on your town account, and John will make sure that it's up and running and works. But you'll get all the information. That's how we do business.
Okay, right.
Our next meeting is Thursday, June 28th. Again, here. We'll be here. This will be our new meeting place. And I need to check with Troy. I don't think there should be any issue in the fall when we start doubling up on, we start meeting every week. But
If he wants his budget, he'll find a room for us.
he'll find a room
He'll
for
find a room
us.
for us.
But yeah, so this will be our new home base. So.
They had that in there. There you go.
And now we have our final community input. If anybody has anything they want to say or ask or. Well, we hope that you found it interesting and that we didn't bore you. And we're glad to have you here with us. All right. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to
So
adjourn?
made.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank
Do
you
we not
both.
meet in July?
We do
We do
not
not.
meet in July.
I didn't have.